The Avalaunch transmission starts now.
All right. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Awesome. How's everyone doing?
Very good. Very good. Excited about everything that's happening.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us, guys. We are going to just kind of give it a second here. This is going to both YouTube and Twitter, and people sort of watch it both places. And I like to let it get out for a second at least. But in the interim, as we let kind of people come in, just to sort of set the stage here today, this is obviously the TimeShuffle team. TimeShuffle is a great team and a great game, and we've been working with them for many months now. Stefan, how many months have we sort of been working with the project?
Yeah, I think the initial introduction to you guys was done early February, like the first week of February through Ava Labs. Ever since, we were stoked to get inputs from you guys. We truly believe in your setup. You have broad experience and understand really how Avalanche, but also Web3 in general works. Which is helping our team, even though we also bring our experience to the table. It's really stunning to see how this AVAX ecosystem is collaborative and supports us as a team in full. It really is fun to work with you guys.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man. Yeah, right on. So, in those months, we've obviously come to know the project very well and what you guys are working on. We're really excited about it, and we think it represents a much needed and unique step forward for Web3 gaming. So I'm excited to talk about the game, learn a little bit about you guys, talk about some exciting things you have coming up near term, right? Which is some of the things that we'll be covering specifically. And but let's just kind of get into it. Let's start with for anyone that might not know, kind of who you are. So, if Constantine, would you start and tell us about you and how you ended up working on TimeShuffle?
Of course, it's my pleasure. So basically, me and my team of game developers and artists. So we've been into game creation for the past 15 years, and we have worked on many different titles with RPG games, with casual, hyper casual games, many other types of games for many years already. And in the recent years, we've kept an eye on what has been happening on the Web3 market, and it's has always been of interest to us. But we kind of never got the right partners to get into it until we met Stefan and his partners from Dragon Labs. And this happened last year. And we started discussing the business and what type of games we are doing at the moment. And we started talking about an old concept that we had, which is actually TimeShuffle. It's our baby, and it has been drafted several years ago, but it kind of was very, very complex for the moment and wasn't the right time to act on it back then. But when I told them about our gameplay mechanics and what we want to include in the game and all the cool features we have, Stefan and the team just said that sounds actually amazing for Web3 and the crypto game, because there are so many interactive features that can be included and can be turned into actual Web3 models. And that's how we started looking into that. And we got really excited last year, and we started working together with their team and our team to come up with the whole tokenomics of the game, change a little bit our initial concept, because we wanted to fill the gaps of Web3 gaming and combine our experience from traditional gaming and bring it to Web3 actually. And I think the whole team has done an amazing job in doing exactly that. We pinpointed some very hot spots about exactly what makes a game great and for people to want to play it, and at the same time make the most of all the cool features that the current Web3 technology and NFT and the tokens give us. Yeah, and that's how we ended up already several months into development of our game, which is now very close to its initial pre-alpha release, which is going to showcase part of the battle mechanics that we have implemented, which is like the base model of our gameplay.
I know. And what about you, Polly?
Mhm.
Hey, I joined the TimeShuffle team several months ago. I have experience in the games industry since 2014. I have worked on mid-core RPG games, on casual mobile games. Like I have covered almost the entire spectrum. I'm very excited to be joining this team and working in the transitioning from the Web 2 to the Web 3 era of games and just introducing my knowledge for this. And I'm very excited because I know that everyone in the team is eager to make a fun game first. And this is our goal. We want to make a fun game that people enjoy playing. They wanna that they get obsessed. That they wanna outwit their opponents and have the best tactical gameplay and the best tactical decisions. So this is the goal of the game, and the earn part is an add-on that would just make it even more substantial.
Yeah. And what about you, Stefan?
I was waiting for this question. I think Konstantin was already mentioning that this is a bit of a special approach. It's not a typical startup where a team forms and tries to conquer the world. Actually, we approach this in a joint venture kind of a setup where we, as a venture studio, found a big opportunity in Konstantin's team. He and Itzo, with this experience background, were a perfect match for us to actually elaborate a setup where we believe we can mitigate a lot of risk because we can really position in every needed role the best person to execute on this behalf. So I came in basically on behalf of our studio, where we partnered up with Konstantin last year. And I'm trying to support Konstantin mainly as a biz dev person, building partnerships, supporting the teams with my background knowledge. Yet I need to be a bit stepping back because the main part of the fun is delivered by Polly, Konstantin, Itzo, and their teams, which they steer. We from Dragon Labs, we try to do our best to support on every angle, especially around sales and marketing, building the story, ramping up partnerships like towards you, and having a launchpad partner, which is one of the best in the industry. This is our job, but we don't want to get like much credit for this. We totally believe that the core value derives from the actual gameplay, and we definitely are supporting in many ways, but hands off me, like let's focus on the actual team which delivers this, and we're the supporting factor, trying to innovate together. And I think together we can really rule something new into the space, which we call play and earn. Polly mentioned it, Konstantin mentioned it. What is this mystic thing, right? For us, we believe like it's enough time spent within this ever-ending cycle. The current market shows it. There needs to be a substantial change. And we believe games can be this, games can drive adoption, but only if the actual developers, the founders, understand what's needed. And for us, the key is accessibility. So maybe this is something, Konstantin, you can also elaborate a bit more, because we believe that's the key, to open the sphere to the mainstream, go tap into these, educate traditional gamers where there are a lot, to actually come in and spice up these economic models, which are not supposed to be in these Ponzi-like. Everyone wants to earn. Like every user group can't earn. Someone needs to spend money, and there are a lot of people willing to spend money for entertainment. So let's address them the right way. And together we managed to, I think, have a very good assumption-based approach, which we now need to prove on the market. So yeah, that's the next step, which we are thinking we're very, very close to reach right now.
Yeah, if I may add on what Stefan is saying, it's all correct, of course, and this is exactly what we're trying to do. We see the need of a product, a game in this case, that's actually sustainable without being reliant only on the play to earn model and on this token. So we know that from our vast experience in Web2 and traditional gaming, that first of all, it's a huge market out there for interesting games. And this is what's going to bring the difference, I think, when the experience from Web2 moves to Web3 and you create a more sustainable product where actually players come in to play for fun. And even if they don't know so much about crypto, NFTs, and tokens, they can just play the game, have fun, be competitive, because this is one of our main points. We want the game we're building to be really competitive and with heavy multiplayer, and then little by little learn about the value of the token, of the tokenomics of the game, of how they can actually even earn some money while they're having fun playing the game. And that's why we're striving to make this game as accessible as possible to everyone without actually spending much or any money at all to start playing our game. That's one of our main selling points, basically. So it's going to be free to play in the beginning, and you'll be able to experience the whole gameplay without spending $1 first. And I'm sure as much as more the players are advancing the game, they'll be interested to get into the whole mechanics we have put in there for our NFTs and the different features that require the use of our team's token in the game. But we want to open the doors for a much broader market and bring traditional gamers into TimeShuffle and show them how can they actually earn out of playing a fun game. That's what we know how to do, and that's what we want to do with TimeShuffle as well.
Okay. Well, there's a lot in there that I think is worth kind of breaking apart and talking about. Paulie, I saw you kind of nodding your head through a lot of that stuff in agreement, particularly around his points related to real gameplay and sustainability of the token. Now, you've worked on games before, right? That are not crypto games, right? And
Not at all.
so you've been in a position where you're like, I have to just make this fun, and people want to pay me to play it, basically, right? And so when you came from Web 2 into Web 3, and you started seeing the models of incentivization. Like, what were your impressions of how these economies were set up and people were being rewarded, and what were the things that stood out to you that just maybe didn't even make sense based on how you would have done this in the past?
There are things that in the current, what I've seen in Web3 gameplay, that were relying on the hype that had swept all of us in the past several months, that is now dying down with rapid speed. And for me, there were some things that I would say were gamification, but not a lot of actual in-depth game mechanics. And I don't want to. There are games that had their moments, let's say, or the cool things, but I think that the approach was more from a standpoint of how can we do a Web3 game, whereas for me the approach is always how do I do a fun game. Even when when we were doing Web2 games as well, we still had to make them make money as a free-to-play model, but this was always the afterthought. Always the first thought was make a fun game, make a game that is fun, and then ask the question, how can I monetize this game? So always the approach for me in developing a game is, hey, I have this hypothesis. This will be fun for users. You develop some a part of it, you send it out to users, and you see it's not fun. And then you go back to the drawing board, and then you try to make it fun. And then you see some traction, and you have high retention, and people are coming back. And then you say, okay, so people like this. They are involved in this. Then I make a paywall, and I say, hey, you can pay for this to be more advanced in the game. And they don't pay, and you say, okay, so maybe the value that I'm giving them is not enough, so maybe I should add more value to what I'm giving them, or make it as a more viable service what I'm offering. It's always a question of like, and at every step, the first thing you need to ask is what I'm doing a hook? Like, are people going to be hooked on a game? Do I imagine people, regarding if it's a free to play or like a pre-bought game or Web3 game, doesn't matter. It has to be a fun game. The most important part is like, you want to have to invite all of your friends. You want to stay up until 1 o'clock to play this game, just like binge playing it. I'm not condoning that. I'm just saying that the game has to be that fun, and if that element is missing, then it's just it's a clickable game. Sorry, Kosio.
I'm sorry to interrupt. If you want to continue, please go ahead. I just wanted to share a few thoughts on what you said as well, because when you speak, a lot of the values we put down come to me all the time, and few of those are definitely stepping on the toes of what you said. Fun game means actually attracting players and keeping their attention on the game. So from our experience of releasing Web2 and traditional games, as Polly said, it's not even important for the beginning of the game to make money. What's important is for the game to actually have a great retention rate, meaning the more players return the next day to the game, and the 7 days after that, and 20 days after that, the better. And this means you have done your job. And if you achieve this metric, you have a good retention rate, but you're still not monetizing well, I would say this is probably the easier part to do. So we know how to do good games that retain players and make them come back to the game. And then we know how to, what to give them so that they can actually, start using the game and monetize it in financial terms. And believe me, I think it's much harder to do that in a traditional game, which is free to play, rather than a Web3 crypto game. And this is the huge difference here, because I see some of the questions here on the right, people are asking the difference. So this is one of the main differences. And so what's already on the market, at least in 2021, I'm sure now a lot of the developers already seen that, the development team so far have not focused so much on the games themselves. Like they just put out a product out there which is crypto enabled and allows people to trade, stake, make some money out of it. And that was enough for this audience. And it's kind of easy to make money out of it. But in the current market, you can see that this is not sustainable. And this could definitely not be a working model for the future. And if you manage to create a really working game that's self-sustained and can monetize even without the Web3 part of it, then it should be much easier to monetize on top of it in the Web3 market.
Web2 games kind of have it easy, right? Because you have to make the game so fun that a player's like, I'm gonna pay you to play it. I'm gonna pay you a lot of money to play it over time if you get me addicted to it, right? They don't have the lever of like, hey, maybe we can kind of pay out the player directly, right? So Web3 does have that advantage as a variable, as a mechanic, right? It's just like everything in crypto, at least in the beginning, they went too far. It just drowned your money at the expense of everything else. So I think this is a good these points are like a good way to actually start talking about the game itself, because you're talking about fun gameplay, right? Ways to keep players inside of the game, you know, and retained, like, you know. So what are the points in Time Shuffle that you've identified that you're working toward to achieve to achieve that thing, right? Like, I think that'd be interesting to talk about. It's like, where are Time Shuffle solutions to these problems?
Yeah, I would like to mention a few that I really want, and whatever I miss, Ollie can fill out, I'm sure. So first of all, for me personally, I think any online game that has multiplayer enabled should be very competitive. This is what drives, the traditional gamers and players to play the game. The more competitive it is, the better. We have so many examples for that; like they're endless. And in this case, we're going to have our Time Shuffle arenas in which players can battle each other in live battles with their teams. And we'll go even further at some point where we're going to allow them to bet one of their NFTs against the other player, and whoever wins gets the other one's NFT. And we are going to also allow audience spectators to enter this arena and actually watch the whole battle unfold, and maybe have some small interaction with the players, like cheer for one or the other. And we'll try to turn this into a like huge event, like a gladiator battle where thousands of people are watching and cheering for their favorites. And that's definitely going to create a lot of a huge competitive part of the game, and I'm really looking forward to this one as well. The other part would be our unique approach to breeding of characters, or in our case, debreeding them, because as most of you know, I'm sure a lot of our listeners as well have already heard that you have different variations of these famous characters, historical characters that we have. And you have like 3 or 5 different alternative versions of Einstein, for example, or Salvador Dali, or whoever. And there is going to be a limited number of those characters in the game. So there would be, let's say, 1,000. And the more players are merging them through our DNA shuffle machine, the less of those NFT characters there will be in the game, which makes them more rare, more valuable, but also much more powerful, because it's going to combine their skills. So this is also one of really cool features I'm excited about our game. Of course, mechanics as the AI that we're going to have for our single player missions, which is something that I'm also pushing a bit for in our team, to have a very engaging story mode of the game, not just the online part. I think these are like my main points. If Polly, I'm sure she can add more to it and explain a bit more of the uniqueness of them. The skill trees of all the characters, which are going to be randomly generated, and you will almost never have the same character with the same skill. It would be basically almost impossible to have. So it's going to give a huge variety.
Yeah, one of the things I thought was very cool about the skill trees was that, like, based on this person's profession, right? So you could have Einstein, who's a painter, and now you have like intelligence with like the perception of a painter. Like, I just thought that was a very cool mechanic to play with, right? These like the generally accepted ideas about what these people would be good at, or painters are good at, right? And then you apply that to a historical figure who was not a painter. Like, it's just very it strikes me as very fun.
I actually, in that regard, we could share a short video of our gameplay that we currently have in the battle arena, if you don't mind. Yeah, just go over it.
Here, because I know that course, you mentioned a lot of the big things that we're planning on. I just want to talk about the main thing of the game, which is the battle. This is the part where we have focused a lot, and our first part of our development was entirely focused on just having a really interesting battle. We have, as you know, we have characters, they're personas, meaning persona is Einstein, but we can have Einstein as an artist, Einstein as a painter, Einstein as a musician, and depending on the profession, it depends on what types of skills you receive. For the current the pre-alpha that we have, which is a much more simplistic version, users will have access to most of the skills, but still that this is the long-term idea we're developing. So the feeling we want to give users is logging into the battle and just starting the battle. Hey, if I only had this type of skill, I could have beaten that guy. Or hey, if I only used this skill, I should have moved to that hexagon. I should have moved to the other hexagon. I shouldn't have bunched my players in the same place because they are splash damage skills. The idea is to give the users the ability to feel like, hey, I need to assemble my team in the best way possible and assemble my skill deck in the best way possible so that I can outwit everyone else during the game. The skills also, we have another layer of abstract to everything, which is the personas element and the skills element. The personas, as I said, are Einstein, and depending on what element the persona has, it depends what type of damage they get, because the elements in TimeShuffle are an abstraction to what we know, what we've heard about elements before, but our elements are mind, body, science, community, and art. And if you use the mind element skill to against somebody who has a body element as a persona, you get extra damage. So this is part of the way you strategize things. You say, hey, I have this skill, it is very powerful, but I have to use it against the persona that is body element rather than mind element, so that I get more damage. And then try to eliminate at least one player from the other's team so that it only has 2 points of damage to you, so that only 2 people who can damage you in the long run. So it's a tactical game. I'm not sure if you're seeing the video.
No, should we share it now? I think.
Yeah, I think we can share it.
Yeah, sure. Let's bring it up.
Yep. All right. Just a second. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Excellent. All right. So I'll just play it.
This is your team now that the players are getting connected, and
maybe we should talk about how you start the game with your team here.
Yes, this is your team. You can edit the team that you have. You can edit the deck. You see you have Genghis Khan as an inventor, Martin Luther King Jr. as a politician, and Frida Kahlo as an artist. Below, what you see are the attributes of the characters. The attributes, they're born with them, and some of them improve over time as heroes level up. The first one that you see is speed. In other games, it's also known as initiative, and it controls when this character plays. The higher the speed, it's to the front of the line of whose turn it is. When you do some actions, you walk, you use a skill, you choose to rest, the speed is taken out of you, so you pay speed in order to create an actions, and then you're moved back to the back of the line.
Yeah, maybe it's the right moment to mention that the battles in TimeShuffle are not automated at all. They will actually require a lot of thinking, strategizing, and having the right approach and tactics for each battle, and depending on your skills.
That I wanted to bring up in terms of the gameplay itself, because I know you guys have a lot of different variations of the gameplay. So there's like PvP, PvE, and then there's actually like modes you don't need to be present for. And so for a game like this, it's turn-based, right? But could you equate it to something like a chess match, or what is the what's the closest sort of comparison you could make to how it's going to feel to play the game?
sorry, you can equate it to a chess match in some ways, but
Mhm.
it's more of a like literally a tactical turn-based RPG where
Uh-huh.
you assemble the perfect team that you have, and then you enter the game trying um, to the best. I'm sorry, the best you can in the game. So you can compare it to chess, but like with 1,000 more variations to it and
Right.
1,000 more options of how to play.
So you kind of you pick your build out, you pick your team, you build that over time, you improve it
Yeah.
in time, and then you enter into this battle. And obviously, there's an element of luck, related to what your opponent has. But then it's skill based from there, right? You're deciding what moves and when to make.
Yes, it's skill based, but since skills for us are also a term, like it's based on how proficient you are at what you do and how you play the game. I have a team member that managed to get his first win against me today, and he was like so excited to be able to do that. So
I know.
it depends on how you play the game.
Yeah.
To the here to the right of the screen, you can see the strength, the dexterity, and the intellect, which are also attributes of the characters. They are born with these characters. The strength determines the strength of the physical attack. The dexterity determines the technical attacks, and intelligence determines the strength of mental attacks.
You guys hearing that?
You see, for example, Molotov. This is one of our favorite skills. It's a splash damage skill. We have a healing skill, we have a teleport skill, a deflection shield where you can fight off melee attacks. There are a variety of skills, and what we have now for the pre-alpha in skills is like the tiny percent of what we have in mind for more skills and more skills. The idea is to have a
Mm-hmm.
variety of skills so that you can have first, it will be much more compelling to build your deck because you can only go in the game with 6 cards in your deck. And from these 6 cards, you get 4 rolled here. So you have to be very proficient in what type of game you want to play. Sometimes you can challenge yourself. Hey, I want to become better with strategizing with these skills and these other skills. And later down the line, when the release updates, you'll be able to level up skills. Like you get more of the skills, you'll be able to level up the skills as well and say, hey, I want to be better at that, or swap skills in your skill tree. So
Mm-hmm.
the majority of our battle is focused around having skills and using them in the best way possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, what about? I know that these battlefields and some of the environmental elements are procedurally generated, right?
Yes,
And so does that mean that every board you encounter is essentially new?
yes. For
Mm-hmm.
this version of the game, yes. Down the line, when we have PvE and we have special arenas, there will be game designer created fields where we'll try to make it harder for everyone and make it even more challenging. For this version, all are procedurally generated, and all fields that you see will be different in some way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Sometimes, sorry.
I was just going to say one of the things I thought was super cool because it's like when I read about it's like struck me as one of those opportunities to like really be creative with the theme of the game. And it's somewhere in your guys' docs. It talks about how the environment, based on where you are in time, right, and how it's been warped, will provide obstacles for the players that you might not that you might not otherwise encounter. And I think it adds well, not realism because it's not realistic necessarily, but it really brings people into like the concept and the lore of the game in a very very cool way. Like those are the kind of high level design stuff that I think really resonate with people in gaming.
Yep. this is part of what we plan to do in the future. And the game and the concept that Konstantin and his partner came up with lends itself so beautifully to having a lot of very interesting ideas and gameplay elements. For me as a game producer and for our game designer, it's extremely exciting.
Okay, so for
Maybe at
everyone
this
that's watching
point,
here, just real quick, I have the TimeShuffle link here. Can you guys talk about the Founders Pass Mint and what this link is?
yeah, absolutely. Just before going into this topic, I just see that there is a question from the community towards like the gameplay mechanics, how much like time is required to actually go through this experience. And I believe it's worth to mention that this kind of balancing is super important for the team to look into on the market. How will the game actually be rolled out, and then adjust these necessities for rolling through one battle to make it more feasible. So there is a lot of ongoing optimization and balancing needed to actually bring this to the ideal time needed. So it's fun to play, but it's still tactical. It's definitely not the goal for us to only develop towards hardcore gamers which want to spend
Yes.
hours and hours, but rather to have a very good balance which can increase in complexity, but which can also be very easy and fun just to casually go through. Maybe this was not
Yeah.
ideally framed, but I think it's answering the question.
I just wanted to add something to what Stefan is saying. As soon as we go live, will be also very interesting to hear from you guys as well. We are very open, and we know that the best people that know the game the most after it's released are actually not the team but the players. And all feedback, we'll be happy to hear it and share it us. And right now, a game takes about one battle takes a little less, like around 5 minutes. We'll see how we work with this time frame for the future. But yeah, what is important to us that you give, once you are able to play the game, give us feedback and tell us what you're thinking, because as I said, we're trying to make the game fun for you.
And that's kind of like the coolest part of all of this is the tight knit relationship between the developer and the community, and the way that the community this early, right, can inform ideas about the game. We had a talk with the Shrapnel team a couple weeks ago, and these are guys who are used to building AAA titles, but kind of in a silo, right? And, in their office, totally separated from the community, maybe what they read online. And it was such a revelation for these guys to be able to be in the community with the people, playing the game, thinking about the game. Totally different way to build and develop a game. So I think that's one of the coolest parts about all of this. Okay,
Yeah,
so
which
let's.
basically leads us to the founder pass, which you mentioned, right? Because our big need is that we want to include the community to make the game successful, because the community is playing in the end. And from this purpose, we thought about what is the ideal frame something back to our early supporters, because we believe like a lot of projects miss out on this beyond the point that you maybe have early access as a collector, or maybe you can buy into the token, but it's highly speculative. So given the fact that we are coming from the traditional industry, we understand players, we want to reward players as well. And from there, the founder pass concept derives, which is basically an exclusive membership card, which allows you to get stuff for free, be part of early loops, be part of accessibility to information in a highly extent way. So the Founders Pass basically allows you to be part of the Founders Group, which means you can provide input to the game. In the future, it might be, hey, what kind of IP should we try to acquire? Should we go into World Cup theme and try to onboard Messi, Ronaldo, or co? Or should we go maybe into a music theme and onboard Rihanna battling against Snoop Dogg, right? This is kind of decisions which can derive from the Founders Pass community. But this is just the beginning. So the Founders Pass is basically a bit different than traditional NFT, which are more derived from art or utility, but rather never ending storyline for collectors to be part of TimeShuffle. So it starts all off with certain key utility, which is gonna be revealed in our new landing page, which is set up for the mint. So it's gonna be a status symbol. You have your founder's badge in the gameplay. You get access to early game releases where you can train your tactics better. You gain an advantage towards late players, and you have also the opportunity to communicate with the dev team and the founder team in a more extent way, because obviously we need to limit this somehow to early supporters, true believer, and not like fight through the noise which can derive. And beyond these kind of soft utilities, we definitely want to kind of bring these founder pass into the gameplay. So they're gonna be kind of this badge which makes you look like different. The characters, the team look different. Going into special discounts, waiving fees for certain premium features which freemium players would need to pay for, going towards earning multipliers, which can randomly increase your multiplying earning effect inside the gameplay for grinders, or increase the chance to get a rare NFT from the gameplay. Not even to mention that obviously owning a founder pass is allowing you to tap into the allow lists for exclusive NFT mints of the future. And since TimeShuffle is a very, very special, unique case with different types of NFTs merging and playing into each other, that might be a super good opportunity to also get an ROI on an investment as a collector. If you, for example, tap into a priority sale of the arenas, which then also can generate royalties for the owners. Yeah, and to spice everything up, to deliver you like the ultimate kind of reward to be in here very early, we are introducing a never seen before concept in the GameFi space. It's very easy to understand for you guys. You only need to own a founder pass connected to the wallet, and you will be able to visit TimeShuffle Mint Shop. Every month, you're gonna be enabled to open treasury boxes which surprise NFTs or even tokens. So just by holding on to your founder pass, you will be getting treasure chests every month for life, containing even battle arenas, skills, consumable items. You can have tokens or heroes to play with. So this is kind of our new approach to bring true sustainability to NFTs, to basically reward players intrinsically to be part of this process, to actually spend their time in the game without a little bit less earning maybe in the beginning, but increasingly high rewards through these mechanics we amend towards these generation one play to earn games, which we looked at very closely and tried to turn now with TimeShuffle into a new generation two product, solving all these sustainability reward cycles, which obviously needed to be tested out by someone. We're very grateful for the other projects to have done this journey and to explore this space, and gave us the role model to actually be able to deliver this high-end experience now from A to Z, from collector to grinder, towards a GameFi or gamer community.
I have a question.
And last but not least, because actually the question you framed was towards the link. What is this link, right? So obviously we want to collect interest. We want to give you guys who spend time with the project a chance to secure your spot. So basically everything you need to do to be part for sure and be allowed to actually get a founder pass is visit this link, sign yourself up, follow our project, and you're gonna be able to actually mint one of these passes. We are planning to announce pricing, dates, everything around the mechanics and how these drops are gonna be structured probably within the next 7 days. So keep close to our channels. Now is the time to actually invite your friends. Like, try to set up your own mini guild. It's gonna be an advantage in the future. So the stronger your own mini guild will be, where you like refer your friends, bring them to the project, the more impact you can create, the more rewards you can collect. So now is the time to act. Like, this week is super critical for everyone who wants to embrace themselves into this GameFi sphere of Avalanche in general, I believe.
Very cool. So yeah, I would encourage everyone to check that out. The question I had, and it just occurred to me as you guys were talking, and this is a question for the people that have built games before. In terms of like time and process, if you were to build a game like TimeShuffle without Web3 elements, like if crypto didn't exist, right? How much longer would it take you to start to fold in and think about and develop and test and implement the crypto economies, the tokens, like, and then the practical logistics of a project, like the marketing you're doing now, like getting listed on an exchange, figuring out liquidity, but then also how those things relate to a game. I mean, if you had to guess, how much more work does the crypto component add to all of this in terms of thinking and effort and resources and time? It's just not something I've ever thought about.
Yeah, it is strange. It takes a lot of work because everything, if you want to do it right, you need to put a lot of work and a lot of brain power into it. Like, let's just start there. But the thing is that these are unexplored waters, let's say, and it takes a lot of time. I'm guessing with time, this thinking process and conceptualization will become shorter. But for all of us that are doing this, these are like new unexplored waters, and I'm guessing that a lot of things, and as Stefan said, we're very grateful to all of the very brave teams that tried and did something before us because they learned something and they taught us something. But I'm guessing that a lot of this will be trying something and then having feedback as soon as possible. What is great about actually the crypto world is that there are very big communities and people are very engaged. Like, this is one of the best things that as a game developer, I would say, because other times you would want to build a game and you're just like, hey people, please come play my game, and you want to get people. But in this community where everything is so tight knit, everyone is excited to try your game, you get so much more feedback as fast. So it will be longer to develop some things, and it will be longer, but by like, I don't know, maybe up to 30%. But I'm guessing that the iterations will be shorter, but it will be because it will be so much easier to get feedback from the community, and the community will be so active in giving you feedback. So in this regard, it might be easier and faster to find your way. But this is still a hypothesis. We'll see how it goes. These are uncharted territories. We're very excited. It takes a lot of brain power, and we'll probably try some things. They would not work out. We'll try other things. The goal is to make it the best experience possible for everyone involved, for us and for the players. Because in the end, we want to create something that we are proud of, and we can tell, "Hey, mom, I made this," and we want to the players to feel like they're enjoying what they're doing.
Yeah, I just want to add that even for the regular game economy from Web2, you need to adjust. And as soon as you release the game, you look at the metrics and what the players are doing and what the numbers are showing. And there is like a learning curve during this live process in the first few months where you actually adjust the whole game economics. So I'm sure this is applicable here as well. And this is what we're going to do.
Yeah, the
Web3 games, we look at the numbers, we'll adjust as we go to bring the best experience possible.
Yeah, Web3 games are hard because, unlike traditional games, you build a game, you put it in the App Store, you charge $2 for it maybe, If it sucks, it doesn't work, no one likes it. Okay, well, they've lost $2 and they've already downloaded a game that afternoon. With crypto, right? You are bringing people into the game at such a deeper level with their time, with their money, with their investment, with their hopes, their dreams, all of this stuff into the game, right? And so if one of these decisions isn't right, the ripple effect of that is so much greater than in traditional gaming. And so I have to assume that trade-off is, that stress, right? That responsibility that's not really present in normal gaming has to be smaller than the reward for all of this stuff, right? Because if you're just making your life harder, and you don't actually produce a better game, or you don't give yourself the tools to produce a better game by using crypto, if the opportunity isn't really there, then it doesn't really make sense. I think it is, right? I think we're still finding our way through this GameFi industry. It's a fascinating time for gaming to watch. But and I do see signs of it, here and in other things, and I'm confident we're moving toward it. But I can't help but always end up reflecting on how just hard and wild crypto is, and crypto gaming, and just gaming in general, and put those two together. Holy shit! Now you got a problem. So, credit to you guys for going after this and looking for real solutions.
I think that when you create games, you're surrounded by a lot of people who are gamers, or they share their experience with games, and they're like, I loved this game. And I hear people saying, I loved this game. I spent so much time on this game, but it was such a waste of time in the end. Like when you draw the line, and you're like, I'm not gonna waste any more time playing this game. And I think that this crypto layer gives the opportunity for you to actually have even more. From my standpoint, but I'm making games, it's a good enough reward is to have fun while playing a game. But having fun and also being able to earn, this is like
the
player's dream, basically.
Yes, the player's dream. Yeah.
That's what blows my mind is, I play games and I spend a lot of money on them, and I am paying these developers, right, a lot of money for the pleasure, the luxury of playing the game. And so if they gave me anything at all, that would be great. That would be a huge improvement over what's happening. But crypto always just goes too far, right? And they're like, we'll give you the whole project, every token you can have. And it's about finding that real balance, and it always comes back to what you guys have been talking about this entire interview, which is, start with the gameplay. I think if you start with the rewards and the gameplay is secondary or not even really considered, obviously that's not going to work. But if you start with the gameplay and that's primary, the proper places to incentivize a player are going to present themselves.
It's like that for every product. With games, it's very sharply noticed, but with every product, you just need to give value to users, and the primary value is an experience value, and this is what we want. We want to give an experience.
Yeah. So in terms of timeline, roadmap, we have this founder event coming up. I think that's Constantine. Sorry, Constantine, I had to mute you. A lot of background noise. I apologize. So when is the Founders Mint starting and ending?
Yeah, so we know everyone wants to know, but still we keep it a little bit more secretive. We really urge you to follow these channels. Take this time to sign up for the pre-mint. There are gonna be news released towards these actions. One, the mint, the second, the pre-alpha game experience within the next days. So keep a good eye on our channels, and everything will be revealed. Also, the new website will be up and running very quickly. But we are very, very eager to keep it a bit like the tension in the space, especially now in this market. So we kindly ask you to be a little bit more patient for us to prepare everything in the last details and understand how we can roll out this to the maximum positive effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In like a holistic point of view, it will happen within the next like 14 days, but where like both is enabled. So there's not much delay to be expected, but the specific date and times the team is currently finalizing and will be revealed in the next few days.
Okay, well, that's good enough for me, man. And people could use a little patience, I think. So just stay tuned, stay involved, get in the community. Be active, and you'll know when you know. Um, and then in terms of like the broader timeline of the game, I'm sure people are curious about that. What do we know there about the game's release?
What we know, we have the pre-alpha now that, as Stefan said, is coming very soon. It is just the battle and getting people introduced to the gameplay. And what we're aiming at is to have an alpha out in late this year, like the alpha, which has more mechanic, has the PVE, has the AI that you can battle with, has a lot of interesting game mechanics that we're cooking up right now. And just to clarify, the pre-alpha right now will not be on-chain, but the alpha that we release later this year will be on-chain.
And this is a browser-based game, correct?
Yes, this is a browser-based game.
For now.
For now. Because we're creating suspense.
A question I have about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the goal of the team is clearly to deliver casual mobile experience, but in terms of execution risk and timeline, we want to release something as quick as possibly, which is web is the best solution to be on the market. But in the follow-up releases, the team will work very heavily on a mobile version to ultimately crack these 2.5 billion users which are there and wait for a solution in play and earn. At least is what we believe. So everyone is eager to tap into this, and we try to be the first one to make this available on mobile, but there are certain obstacles which need to be taken. So why not test the actual engagement upfront in the web, and then take these learnings into a final release or an advanced release, which is also accessible through mobile phones.
Yeah, that makes sense. What I was going to ask you before, and this is again just something I've been thinking about a lot recently, and so now that I have some actual game developers here, I'd love to ask you. A lot of the Web3 games are browser-based, and I think that is probably out of convenience, and then also because of like restrictions with like App Store stuff and crypto and these kinds of things. But these same developers will talk about needing attempting to really bridge Web 2 into Web 3 through this web-based game. Now, as far as I know, and I do play games, I'm not the biggest gamer you've ever met, like there isn't like a huge segment of people playing browser games. I mean, I'm sure there's some, right? But there's more playing mobile, there's more playing console, there's more playing PC. When people talk about Web 2 game, like these are the people they're talking about. So do you think that crypto game developers are starting at a deficit by sort of kind of having a browser-based game as their default platform? Because that's really just not a very popular platform at all. Are they making their lives harder?
In some ways, yes, but there are still very much browser-based games that they don't have as many players but they offer more long-term retention of users. Like there are
Mm,
browser games that the users play for years and years,
mm.
whereas and it,
And what would
so
an example of one of those be? Because I want to go play it. What's a browser-based
actually
game that you know of that you like?
I'm coming from I don't know if I can do the product placement here, but I'm coming from a company that has a browser-based.
Yeah.
It has mobile as well, but it's initially
Uh-huh.
a browser-based game. That it's
Okay, well, I'll message you later.
okay, yeah, yeah. But their browser-based games are usually they have a bit older audience from mobile
Hmm.
games,
Yeah.
uh, which in some aspects the older audiences have longer bigger retention spans. The younger the audience, the shorter the attention span. So older audiences have longer retention spans, which means that they retain for longer, and in generally, especially for a web 2 game, when you want to monetize, they are more prone to monetizing rather than younger audiences.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
not more prone, but have more capabilities, let's say, financial.
Hmm.
If I may also add to this, the more well-known crypto games on the market currently use mostly web browsers for their games, mostly because of the complexity of the wallet connection to the game, where
Hmm.
you have to install so many different extensions to the browser, buy the actual NFT, to start playing, and this could take a lot of time to do and effort, and I don't think it's possible to do to the phone. It's going to be very difficult, and this is one of the issues we are tackling with, where we want to give seamless access to all the players with just logging in with their social media accounts, and at the same time creating their crypto wallet for them directly. And this is
Hmm.
going to be possible through our mobile game as well. So
Hmm.
one of the main issues we have with the wallet is actually resolved,
Hmm.
and we'll be actually releasing the mobile version of the game very soon after the alpha as well. I mean, this is how we are already planned for it. It's
Yeah.
almost like mobile first now, because as you said, most of the players are there, and we started the whole project with this in mind as well.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and these are real design problems. These are real adoption problems, right? And it's interesting to me that it's something that games are the ones that have an opportunity to solve it. Like, how do you have a good wallet experience that's seamless in a fast sort of user flow, like a game on a phone, right? Like a game team would be really motivated to solve that problem. It's the same thing with subnets, right? There's a reason that a lot of the subnets you're seeing are games, right? Because they have a need for a lot of on-chain cheap transactions, and so I think this is part of the reason that GameFi is one of them at least is as popular as it is because it gives a framework for solving some really important problems. That if you solve those, hey, you're having more fun in crypto, which is important. So it's I think this stuff, you could look at it and say, hey, these are, games, great, and there are people that would do that. But I think it's actually, these are like exercises in good thinking around user experience, design, adoption,
Yep.
and you're really motivated to solve them because your product depends on it. And this can be leveraged, across crypto in general. So I think it's really important stuff.
Yeah. And I want to highlight that I think you can gather from our talk, and you have known us for some time now, we're in it for the long run. We have an
Hmm.
amazing crypto team that are very advanced technology wise, and they're also working with us to solve this and to bridge this gap and make it as seamless as possible for it to happen in the background for users, so that the transition from Web 2 to Web 3, you just don't feel it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, well, is there anything else that you guys want to talk about? Anything else that we missed? Anything you want to make sure that your community hears?
I believe we covered pretty much everything. Maybe one thing for the partners, guilds, groups of people who believe they want to form a faction within Time Shuffle. Currently, our team is open for requests if someone wants to form a bit of a advanced founder group. Usually, within this founder pass mint, it is a limitation of one NFT per address. This derives strictly from the actual founder's badge within the gameplay. So you're gonna connect one address. If it owns a founder pass, you're gonna have these additional in-game perks enabled. But since certain organizations, certain groups of friends are organized differently, we allow a certain amount of bulk pre-minting. So if someone of you guys wants to prepare his own group, his own guild, his institution to be a core part of TimeShuffle, feel free to reach out to the team. There is an opportunity for a certain bulk transfer or bulk mint, but only if you guys reach out prior to the start of this founder mint and the public actions. So that's maybe a small detail which is relevant for part of you. Maybe part of you want to organize themselves to be enabled to get this, as we have these lifetime rewards. I think it's a very lucrative step to take to tap into our NFT ecosystem and be part of everything which follows from now.
Cool.
Otherwise, I'm very stoked to move forward. I'm super excited to collaborate with Avalaunch for everything which follows. Obviously, on the alpha release of the game, we also plan to launch our token teams. We have huge collaboration partners, starting obviously from Avalaunch, going towards market making, listings, everything prepared with peace and much control. So we're very eager to work through the next month together with you guys, and let's see how we can turn the sentiment back to blockchain, to crypto, or even only just to Avalanche. But I think especially this ecosystem deserves attention, deserves big positive media news, and we truly believe we can deliver it to the network. So let's push all together. We're strong, and it's so early. I think we just need to collaborate and not be afraid that someone takes someone else's ideas and rules the game a sidelong.
That's exactly right.
We're here to build.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's I think there's a good chance that it's stuff like this that reminds people that crypto doesn't necessarily need to be at all-time highs to be important or exciting, or there's something to do here. Yeah, it's always been great working with you guys. Since the very, very, very beginning, we talked to a lot of teams, and I think we have a pretty good sense of this stuff. And it was very obvious who you guys were and what you guys were about and what you guys really sincerely wanted to do and build. And that's the stuff that we pay attention to and kind of turns us on and wakes us up when we're here to support that. We're here to support that. And so I hope you guys have felt like we've been able to do that. Before we go, I just one question, and I thought about this earlier. I'm just curious, Polly, what is your all-time favorite game?
I'm going to be
not that hard though.
I'm going to be very mainstream. I'm
okay. My favorite game is Red Dead Redemption. Does it get more mainstream than that?
My favorite games were StarCraft and World of Warcraft. I spent many hours there.
Well, that's not terribly surprising. That's awesome. Constantine, what about you?
I would be more blunt and boyish, I would say, but probably Mortal Kombat. I mean, I've been playing that since 1994, and I grew up with it. Of course, it was Dune, the real-time strategy game, which was also my favorite. But Mortal Kombat has really left a mark on me for so many years.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat's awesome. Were you playing it on SNES or the arcade?
Well, no, it was on actually a Super Nintendo. Yeah, the version.
Yeah. I mean, I can remember.
I played it in the arcades as well for some time.
Sleepovers with friends and finishing moves and shit.
Exactly. And the excitement of learning new techniques. even
Tell you
the
that
hidden
you're
code that you have, and all of that experience. Now we are trying to, transition to the games that we are creating and doing to bring joy and excitement to the players that are going to play our games.
Yeah, well, maybe you can sneak in like a finishing move Easter egg into Time Shuffle.
That's a good
Um,
idea, actually.
I mean, it is. Now, Stefan, you're not going to get away without answering the questions here.
Yeah, it's terrible question for me. I think I make a cheap shot and just say like Super Mario. Like I'm super like
That's a good one.
party gamer. I always love to play with my friends and maybe like Super Mario, FIFA, somewhere where you can just very casually go in. You don't need to
Yeah,
develop like huge skills to participate. Was always a bit my thing. From
yeah,
racing to sports to whatever is easy, because I never like was a professional gamer who could like sniper down in an
no, me
online
neither.
massive player game. So I need to find my space. But yeah, fun for me is everything, and especially with friends. So
Yeah,
hopefully, Time Shuffle will be my favorite all-time game. Like this needs to be mentioned, right? So a
It
little
better
bit of
be.
Constantine and Trolley now, but I think they will manage it.
yeah, I think so. All right, guys. Well, we're over the hour here. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Always a pleasure. We can do this whenever you want. As soon as you guys have some more stuff to talk about, some developments, we'll get on. We'll show them. We'll talk games. Have some fun. It's always a good time with you guys. So I really appreciate you coming, sharing with our community and your community. I know everyone really appreciates it. And yeah, we'll do it again soon.
Thanks for
Likewise.
having us, Mark. It was a real pleasure to speak to you and the audience. Looking forward to our next meetings.
Likewise. All
Thank you
right,
very
guys.
much.
Have a good rest of
Thank
your
you.
day. Thanks again.
Take
Thanks
care.
everyone to listen to us, and happy evening or happy day wherever you are in this world. Speak soon and
Ciao.
hopefully play each other soon. Goodbye.